All right, question number 3.
Hey Russell, it's Heather at heatherinnahat.com. I want to know how over all the years did you stay sane through the whole entrepreneurial journey? I know that a lot of us end up working crazy hours all day, all night, and plus juggling a family life and keeping your wife happy at home. And just what did you do to recharge and just keep the fight over the years when things were up and down? So basically, how did you keep your sanity is what I want to know. Thanks.
First off, if you're an entrepreneur, by definition of the term, you are not going to be completely sane. Because it's one of those things, if you, especially after you've gone through it, if you would have known what you had to go through to be successful an entrepreneur before, you probably wouldn't have done it. To be completely honest, it's not like all sunshines and roses. It's more like walking into a boxing match and getting your face pounded in for a long time. So if you're in it, and I did a whole podcast on yesterday, actually, if you listen to Marketing Secrets podcast, I did an episode that said the number one way I'll know that I know if you're going to be successful or not, it has to do with what your motivation is, 100%. So if your goal, becoming an entrepreneur, is I want to make money, almost 100% of the time, you will fail this game. Actually, probably 100%. If you come in and your goal is I want to help something or serve something or whatever it is, right? If you're fired about something, that gives you the motivation to actually stick through the pain, because you get beat up every single day. I saw Caleb Maddox just jumped on here. Caleb knows, Caleb gets beat up on Facebook on comments. I get beat up. It's a brutal thing. So you have to be so obsessed and passionate about the person you are serving that all that stuff just goes away. That's number one. Number 2, burnout. Burnout is a huge thing, especially when you're first trying to build something, because it's not people always ask me, Russell, how do you keep your life so balanced? I'm are you kidding me? Okay, nothing good in life happens because you're balanced. I want you guys to understand this, okay? When you met your spouse or potential spouse, or someday you will, when I met my wife, my life was not balanced. 100% of my attention went to my wife and everything else struggled. I kept doing wrestling, but school completely just dropped off. But anything, you have to learn how to unbalance your life for a period of time to get greatness in anything, right? When I was wrestling, my life came completely unbalanced towards wrestling, so I could focus on, so I could master, so I could become that person, and everything else had to suffer, and then it came back. Happened in my relationships, everything. Same thing happened in business. There was a time where your life becomes extremely unbalanced, and you got to be okay with that. And then it's going to snap back. If you're trying to keep a balanced life, it's not going to be okay. So there's going to be burnout. But just understand that burnout's happening, when it starts burning out, that's when you need to snap back and come back into these other things as well. Because if it's, I had someone I look up to, and I remember he was doing a presentation one time, and he held a rubber band. Do we have a rubber band? And it doesn't matter for now, but it's fine. Everyone's running around with a rubber band. And he's like, look at a rubber band. It's really interesting. If you just hold it like a floppy like this, it doesn't do anything. It's just useless, right? And it's and some people, honestly, that's their life. They're just there, and it's kind of they're useless. But rubber bands are meant to be stretched. And if you stretch them, then they can hold things together. They're useful when they're stretched, right? But if you stretch it too far, what happens? Boom, snaps. So you have to understand and start learning yourself. You have to understand, if I don't do anything, I'm useless. But I need to be stretched to be useful. But if I stretch too far, I'm going to break. So for me, it's I get unbalanced to be able to accomplish something great. But then before I snap, I have to come back and get back into normalcy. So that's a big thing. And then the third part of this question was about the spouse. Number 1 is I'm a huge believer in you can only be as successful as your spouse will allow you to be. So if you haven't picked a spouse yet, pick the right spouse. That's number 1. Number 2, if your spouse is not into this whole thing, then I would recommend sticking with your spouse, not this thing. That's probably counter to what a lot of people say, but there's a quote from David O. McKay. He said that no success can compensate for failure in the home. And that's true. So if your spouse isn't on board, it's going to be hard for you to really succeed in this business. And so a lot of times it's better to not. And just get back to what's going to make you guys both happy, because that's much more important than all this crazy stuff we're doing. Number 3, if your spouse is on board, it's still going to be hard. So what I found, this is my personal thing, if I tell my wife in 15 minutes, hey, hon, in 15 minutes now, or if I call her at 5 o'clock, hey, I'm going to be pulling an all-nighter tonight, guess what happens? She is pissed for a long time. But if I tell her 3 days earlier, hey, on Thursday night, we got to stay late. Is it cool if I pull an all-nighter? She'll be oh, sure. So for me, it's all about setting expectations way ahead of time. And so if I'm hey, tomorrow night I'm going to fly out to whatever, and I just want to take off and do something, super bad, horrible idea. If I just if I tell her in advance, hey, 2 weeks from now I got this thing, then she's okay with it. She can prepare herself for it. That's been big for me. The other secret, I probably shouldn't share this one on camera in case my wife hears. You guys want it?
Yeah.
This let me spike the mic if I give this one. Okay, for any of you guys who travel as entrepreneurs, you will find this. This is the good stuff, okay? if you guys like this one, you have to share the show when it's live because it's important. All right. So as an entrepreneur, when you travel, this is what you do. You'll be traveling and it'll be so much fun. You'll be hanging out with people. You'll be in seminars, events, and you'll be taking pictures of yourself smiling and eating good food, hanging out with people, and you'll send it back to your spouse who's home with your kids, stressed out. They're drooling in on them, puking all night, like stuff that happens as a parent, right? And they're seeing you having fun, and guess what? They will resent you. Like it happens. It's not just to me, I've seen it happen with most of the people I travel with in this business. The secret I found is one time I was on a trip and I was miserable. And when I messaged my wife, I talked about how miserable I was. And then she was so sympathetic. When I came home, it was way better. So when I travel, guess what I don't send pictures back of? The fun. Guess what I do? The stuff that's hard. And that way, anyway, it's a secret. Don't tell my wife that. But I promise you this, it works. All right, you guys do with that? That answer the question? All of them? All right. I don't want to spike it though, these things. Anyway, I'm going to drop it though. Want more marketing secrets? If so, then go get your copies of my 2 best-selling books. Book number 1 is called Expert Secrets, and you can get a free copy at expertsecrets.com. And book number 2 is called .com Secrets, and you can get your free copy at .comsecrets.com. Inside these 2 books, you'll find my top 35 secrets that we've used to become the fastest growing non-VC-backed SaaS startup company in the world.